One of the buildings we trust every day could crumble unexpectedly. Construction mistakes have led to some of the most shocking disasters in history.
And as soon as I opened up the door, I saw just people screaming, moaning and groaning and hurt.
From towering skyscrapers to vital bridges, these failures remind us how fragile even the most ambitious projects can be. While some errors were caused by poor materials, others by rushed deadlines or overlooked details. In this video, we'll explore some of the biggest construction mistakes in China and around the world. Lotus Riverside Complex collapse. In 2009, one of the most shocking construction failures in modern history occurred in Shanghai. The Lotus Riverside Complex, a symbol of urban progress, was designed to stand as an epitome of luxury living, featuring sleek high-rise buildings that promised modern comfort and sophisticated design. The complex was meant to represent Shanghai's rapid development, a city soaring into the future with towering skyscrapers and innovative architecture. But on June 27th, disaster struck when one of the buildings unexpectedly toppled over like a giant domino. The cause of this dramatic collapse was traced back to poor construction practices, particularly the excavation work for an underground garage. In an effort to create space for this underground level, large amounts of soil were removed from the area around the building. This weakened the already unstable foundation, which was built on soft, unreliable ground. The excavation left the foundation exposed and vulnerable. As the building stood precariously, heavy rains further contributed to the instability, exacerbating the damage and adding weight to the already fragile structure. Eventually, the foundation could no longer bear the strain, and the building gave way. Astonishingly, despite the gravity of the collapse, the structure remained largely intact, with only a few minor elements of the building completely breaking apart. This collapse was not just a tragic event, it was a wake-up call. It highlighted the critical need for careful construction planning, especially when working with unstable terrain, and reinforced the importance of proper engineering practices. The Lotus Riverside collapse remains a stark reminder of the dangers associated with rapid urban development and the irreplaceable value of safety in construction. Now take a look at this astonishing photo. A Chinese archway, beautifully designed to reflect traditional architecture, met a dramatic and unexpected fate. Just days after its inauguration, the structure shockingly collapsed before a crowd of stunned onlookers. What was meant to be a symbol of cultural pride and engineering brilliance fell apart due to a critical design flaw. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. What are your thoughts on such engineering disasters? Share below. Hyatt Regency Walkway Collapse. In 1981, the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Kansas City, Missouri, became the site of a devastating tragedy that would forever alter the landscape of building safety. The hotel was known for its magnificent atrium, a grand architectural feature that included suspended walkways connecting the second and fourth floors. This design was meant to impress and create an open, airy atmosphere. On the night of July 17th, the atrium was alive with guests dancing and enjoying the festivities below. But suddenly, the celebration turned to chaos. Without any warning, both walkways collapsed, sending dozens of people plunging to the floor below. The horror was unimaginable as 114 people tragically lost their lives, and over 200 others were injured, many seriously. The cause of this catastrophic collapse was traced back to a design change made during the construction process. Initially, the walkways were planned to be supported by a single set of rods. However, during construction, the design was altered to use 2 sets of rods for additional support. While it seemed like a minor adjustment, this change effectively doubled the load on the walkway connections. The increased strain was too much for the structure to handle, causing the connections to fail, and the walkways gave way under the weight of the people standing on them. This tragic incident served as a wake-up call for engineers and builders across the world. It raised critical concerns about the importance of following precise engineering standards and adhering to original designs, as even small alterations can have disastrous consequences. The Hyatt Regency collapse is a haunting reminder of how a lapse in judgment during construction can lead to devastating loss, forever shaping the way we approach building safety and design. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, a famous mistake turned iconic. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is often considered one of the most famous architectural mistakes in history, yet its tilt has become its most iconic feature. At first glance, it might seem like a carefully crafted masterpiece, but there's one undeniable detail: the tilt. This lean wasn't intentional. Instead, it was the result of a construction flaw. The project began in 1173, aiming to build a freestanding bell tower for the nearby Pisa Cathedral. However, problems started early in the construction process, especially when workers reached the third floor. At this stage, the soil beneath the tower became unstable, causing the tilt. The foundation, only about 3 meters deep, wasn't strong enough to support the massive structure, and the tower began to lean before it was even halfway finished. This flaw led to a halt in construction for nearly a century due to political unrest and wars. Interestingly, this long break allowed the soil to settle, preventing an immediate collapse. As the tower continued to rise, the lean became more noticeable. By the time the tower was completed in 1372, the tilt had become a defining feature of its character. Over the centuries, the angle of the lean continued to increase, but the tower still managed to stand strong. The structure went through numerous restoration efforts, but it wasn't until a large-scale project in 1993 that significant work was done to stabilize the tower. Using various engineering techniques, the project reduced the tilt and ensured the tower's future stability, preserving it for generations to come. Vasa ship sinking, 1628. In 1628, King Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden commissioned a grand project to build the Vasa, a warship meant to be a symbol of Sweden's naval power and military might. The ship was designed to be an imposing spectacle, meant to showcase the strength of the Swedish Navy to both allies and rivals alike. Standing tall with intricate details and massive cannons, the Vasa was one of the most ambitious naval projects of its time. However, its intended glory was short-lived. On August 10th, after much anticipation, the Vasa set sail on its maiden voyage from Stockholm. Tragically, the ship didn't even make it past the harbor before disaster struck. The Vasa capsized and sank just minutes after leaving port. The cause was a critical and deadly design flaw. The ship was dangerously top-heavy with too much weight placed on the upper decks and far too little ballast in the lower parts to stabilize it. As the ship sailed through the waters, a sudden gust of wind tilted it beyond its tipping point. With insufficient ballast to counterbalance the force, the Vasa toppled over and sank, claiming the lives of dozens of crew members. This catastrophe quickly became a stark warning about the dangers of neglecting basic engineering principles in the pursuit of grandeur. The Vasa's fate was a tragic reminder that no amount of beauty or ambition could save a vessel built without attention to proper design and balance. It wasn't until 1961 that the wreckage of the Vasa was recovered from the depths and painstakingly preserved, offering future generations a haunting reminder of the consequences of poor design decisions. Aquadam Aquarium Burst. The Aquadam in Berlin, once celebrated as the world's largest cylindrical aquarium, stood as an architectural marvel, a testament to engineering excellence and innovation. Towering at 82 feet, this colossal tank was home to 1,500 vibrant tropical fish and drew tourists from all over the globe. Located inside the Radisson Blu Hotel, it offered visitors a chance to marvel at the exotic marine life while they strolled through the hotel's lobby. It was more than just an aquarium, it was a living spectacle of aquatic beauty. However, on a fateful day in December 2022, the unimaginable occurred. Without warning, the entire structure collapsed, releasing millions of liters of water into the hotel lobby and the streets surrounding it. The sheer scale of the disaster was catastrophic. Not only was the hotel's interior flooded, but the surrounding area also faced severe damage. The cause of the collapse was traced to microfractures in the acrylic material of the tank. which had slowly deteriorated over time. Environmental factors such as temperature fluctuations and the immense pressure from the water inside the tank worsened these tiny cracks, which eventually caused the tank's structural integrity to fail. The collapse resulted in the tragic loss of hundreds of tropical fish and inflicted millions of dollars in damages. The Aquadam disaster raised serious questions about the long-term durability of large-scale acrylic structures, especially those subjected to constant pressure and environmental changes. It highlighted the need for more rigorous testing and maintenance of such unique, colossal constructions to prevent similar catastrophes in the future. Hard Rock Hotel collapse. The Hard Rock Hotel in New Orleans was envisioned as an iconic addition to the city's skyline, blending luxury with modern design. With a rooftop bar and pool deck offering breathtaking views of the city, it was set to be a premier destination for both locals and tourists. Construction of the hotel began in 2018, and by 2019, excitement was building as the grand opening neared. The city anticipated its completion with great fanfare, but on October 12, 2019, the dream turned into a nightmare. Tragedy struck when the upper floors of the building suddenly collapsed, taking the lives of 3 workers and leaving several others severely injured. The cause of the disaster was soon traced to cost-cutting measures implemented during construction. To accommodate higher ceilings on the 16th and 17th floors, the construction team opted for thinner steel beams, a decision that would later prove disastrous. These beams, unable to support the weight they were meant to bear, buckled under the pressure. As the upper floors grew heavier, the beams failed, setting off a chain reaction that led to the collapse of the building's upper levels. Debris from the collapse crashed through lower floors, causing widespread damage and sparking immediate concern. The disaster ignited an industry-wide conversation about the dangers of cutting corners in construction. Investigations revealed troubling issues, including insufficient oversight and a blatant disregard for worker safety. The Hard Rock Hotel collapse became a harsh reminder of the perils of prioritizing cost savings over safety. In its aftermath, safety standards were re-evaluated, especially in cities like New Orleans where large-scale projects were common, ensuring that the lessons from this tragedy would not be forgotten. Sampung Department Store Collapse, 1995. The Sampung Department Store, built in 1987, stood as a symbol of South Korea's booming economy during its rapid period of industrial growth. Located in Seoul, it was designed to reflect the nation's newfound prosperity, boasting a modern design and intended to house a bustling retail space. However, this seemingly impressive structure harbored fatal flaws that would eventually lead to one of the most devastating building collapses in the country's history. The initial design of the store was intended to be a 4-story office block, but midway through construction, it was altered to accommodate a 5-story department store instead. This change drastically impacted the building's structural integrity. Crucial support columns were removed to make room for the additional retail space, weakening the foundation. To make matters worse, a heavy air conditioning unit was added to the roof, putting even more stress on the already fragile structure. The building's foundation was not equipped to support the additional weight, creating an instability that was ignored by the building's owners. In the months leading up to the disaster, signs of trouble were visible. Cracks appeared in the walls and floors, but these were dismissed or overlooked. On June 29, 1995, the building collapsed without warning. The tragedy claimed 52 lives and left nearly 1,000 injured. The cause of this disaster was a toxic combination of negligence, poor safety standards, and a disregard for critical engineering principles. The collapse of the Sampung department store remains a stark reminder of the dangers of cutting corners in construction and the essential need for structural integrity and safety standards. Teton Dam Disaster, 1976. In 1976, the Teton Dam in Idaho was hailed as an engineering marvel, a modern-day solution to flood control and water supply issues. The dam was designed to regulate the Snake River's flow, provide irrigation for agriculture, and ensure a steady water supply for the region's growing population. Standing tall and confident, it symbolized the peak of technological achievement in civil engineering at the time. However, this pride quickly turned to tragedy when disaster struck. As the dam's reservoir filled to its full capacity, small, seemingly harmless leaks began to form. Initially, these leaks were minor, but they rapidly worsened over time. Efforts to seal the leaks proved futile, and within hours the situation escalated. The pressure on the dam became too great, and it finally succumbed to the strain, suffering a catastrophic breach. More than 250,000 acre-feet of water were suddenly released, racing downstream with devastating force. The flood swept away homes, businesses, and infrastructure, leaving behind a trail of destruction. The environmental impact was severe, as farmlands and wildlife were washed away. The root cause of this disaster lay in poor construction methods and the use of highly porous rock, which compromised the dam's structural integrity. The porous rock allowed water to seep through, weakening the foundation and ultimately leading to the breach. The collapse resulted in the loss of 11 lives, millions of dollars in damages, and a painful lesson in the importance of proper construction practices. The Teton Dam disaster remains a sobering reminder of how even the most well-intentioned projects can fail when critical engineering standards are overlooked. The Aon Center Marble Crisis. The Aon Center in Chicago, originally named the Standard Oil Building, was once hailed as a symbol of modern architectural elegance. Completed in 1973, it featured a stunning Italian Carrara marble facade that added an air of luxury to its sleek, modern design. The building stood tall and proud, capturing attention with its polished appearance. But beneath its sophisticated exterior, a serious problem was brewing. Within just 1 year of its completion, cracks began to appear on the marble facade. Some of the panels, each weighing over 300 pounds, started to detach from the building and plummeted to the ground below. It was clear that something was seriously wrong. Chicago's notoriously harsh climate had proven to be the unsuspected culprit. The city's extreme temperature fluctuations caused the marble to expand and contract repeatedly, putting immense pressure on the material. This constant stress weakened the marble, leading to the cracks and eventual detachment of panels. Despite several temporary repairs, the problem only worsened over the years. By the early 1990s, it became apparent that the only solution was a complete overhaul. The decision was made to replace the marble with Mount Airy granite, a far more durable material better suited for Chicago's fluctuating weather. This $80 million project, more than half the original cost of the building, was a costly reminder of the importance of choosing the right materials. The Aon Center's marble crisis is a prime example of how stunning aesthetics can sometimes come at a significant price. It's a powerful lesson in architecture. Structural integrity must always take precedence over surface beauty, especially in environments with extreme weather conditions. Collapse of Tacoma Narrows Bridge. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, infamously known as Galloping Gertie, was once celebrated as a marvel of modern engineering. Opened on July 1, 1940, it was designed by the brilliant engineer Leon Moisseiff, who envisioned it as a symbol of progress and innovation. Standing tall in the Pacific Northwest, the bridge was a suspension structure meant to demonstrate the latest advances in bridge technology. But just 4 months after its grand opening, the bridge met its disastrous fate. On November 7, 1940, winds gusting at 40 miles per hour hit the bridge, triggering a terrifying spectacle. The deck began to twist and undulate like a ribbon caught in the breeze. The lightweight design, combined with an aerodynamic flaw, caused the bridge to move uncontrollably. It wasn't just swaying, the structure was violently buckling, distorting into strange shapes. The lack of design features to prevent this kind of movement became apparent, and before long, the bridge collapsed spectacularly into the Puget Sound below. The collapse of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge became a pivotal moment in engineering history. Investigations revealed that the absence of damping systems, combined with the poor aerodynamic properties of the bridge, were the key factors leading to its failure. This tragedy prompted a major overhaul in bridge design. Future projects incorporated more robust structural elements, wind resistance measures, and damping systems to prevent similar disasters. The lessons learned from Galloping Gertie shaped the course of modern bridge engineering and reinforced the importance of considering environmental factors in structural design. Walkie-Talkie Building. London's Walkie-Talkie Building, officially known as 20 Fenchurch Street, was a striking addition to the city's skyline when it was completed in 2014. With its unique concave glass design, the building quickly captured the attention of architects, tourists, and locals alike. Its bold and futuristic appearance was meant to be a symbol of innovation in urban architecture. However, this bold design came with an unintended flaw that would soon make headlines. The concave shape, while visually appealing, transformed the building into a massive reflector, amplifying sunlight in a dangerous way. Instead of deflecting light, the curved glass panels acted like a giant mirror, focusing the sun's rays onto the street below. The result was an intense heat beam that was so powerful it was capable of melting parts of a parked Jaguar car. In fact, the heat was so intense that nearby buildings began to scorch, and pedestrians were forced to move away from certain areas due to the searing temperatures. At one point, temperatures on the street reached a shocking 204 degrees Fahrenheit, much higher than on an average sunny day. The public, alarmed by the extreme heat, soon nicknamed the building the skyscraper. To mitigate the damage, architects and developers had no choice but to install sunshades to redirect the sunlight and alleviate the issue. While the walkie-talkie building was undoubtedly a daring architectural feat, the incident served as a stark reminder of the dangers of not fully considering all aspects of a design. This flaw raised critical questions about how such innovative structures impact the environment and infrastructure of a city in the long run. The skyscraper saga became a cautionary tale in modern architecture, urging designers to think beyond aesthetics and ensure their creations are as functional as they are beautiful. The shocking collapse of the Seongsu Bridge. The tragic collapse of the Seongsu Bridge in Seoul, South Korea, on October 21, 1994, remains one of the most devastating infrastructure disasters in the country's history. Originally built in 1979, the bridge was a key part of the city's transportation network, designed to manage a daily load of 880,000 vehicles. However, by the early 1990s, the traffic had more than doubled, with over 160,000 vehicles crossed daily. This exponential increase in traffic placed an unsustainable burden on the bridge, pushing it far beyond its original capacity. On that fateful day, during the heavy rush hour, a 48-meter section of the bridge suddenly collapsed, sending vehicles, including a bus, plummeting into the Han River below. In a horrifying instant, 32 lives were lost, and 17 others suffered severe injuries. The bridge, once a symbol of infrastructure development, became a site of devastation and heartbreak. A detailed investigation into the collapse revealed a series of catastrophic failures. Faulty construction practices, including poor welding and rusted pins, weakened the bridge's structural integrity. The lack of regular maintenance over the years exacerbated these issues, creating a ticking time bomb. The sheer volume of traffic only intensified the strain on the aging structure, making the collapse almost inevitable. The Seongsu Bridge disaster serves as a sobering reminder of the dangers of neglecting infrastructure maintenance and cutting corners during construction. It highlights the critical importance of ensuring that engineering projects are designed and maintained with long-term safety in mind, not just immediate functionality. Sydney Opera House, a dream turned nightmare. The Sydney Opera House, one of the most celebrated architectural wonders in the world, was not always destined for fame and admiration. Its journey to completion was a long and difficult one, fraught with delays, rising costs, and technical struggles. Initially, the project was expected to take just 4 years and cost a modest 7 million Australian dollars. However, as time passed, the reality of the ambitious design began to unfold. The project stretched over 14 years and ballooned in cost to a staggering 100 million Australian dollars, an increase of nearly 1,300%. Designed by Danish architect Jørn Utzon, the Opera House's most distinctive feature was its unique S-shaped concrete shells, a revolutionary design for its time. However, these complex shapes presented enormous engineering challenges. As construction progressed, it became clear that the technology of the day wasn't sufficient to meet the demands of Utzon's vision. This led to numerous redesigns and changes, each contributing to the delays and mounting costs. Internal conflicts and political disputes with the Australian government led to Utzon's resignation in 1966, further stalling the project. When the Opera House finally opened in 1973, it was greeted with excitement, but the building's acoustics were notoriously poor. The sound quality in the concert hall was subpar, leading to extensive renovations that cost another 300 million Australian dollars. Despite these setbacks, the Sydney Opera House stands today as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, embodying both the trials and triumphs of modern architecture. Its journey serves as a reminder that visionary designs often come with unforeseen challenges, but the result can be nothing short of extraordinary. Champlain Towers South, a catastrophic failure. The collapse of Champlain Towers South in Surfside, Florida, on June 24, 2021, sent shockwaves across the nation. This 12-story condominium, completed in 1981, had been a desirable location to live for many years. Built with steel-reinforced concrete, the building was meant to withstand the passage of time, providing a safe and stable environment for its residents. However, beneath its seemingly sturdy exterior, an array of hidden structural issues had been quietly deteriorating for years. Concerns about the building's safety had been raised as early as 2018. Reports revealed that water intrusion from the pool deck had begun to corrode the steel reinforcements within the structure, weakening key support elements. These issues went largely ignored, and necessary repairs were delayed. To make matters worse, the building had been constructed on reclaimed wetland, an inherently unstable foundation that contributed to the building's gradual sinking over time. Despite these early warning signs, no substantial actions were taken to prevent a disaster. On the morning of June 24, 2021, the building collapsed in a matter of seconds, leaving 98 people dead and many others injured. The collapse, occurring so suddenly, left little time for escape or response. The tragedy served as a stark reminder of the importance of regular maintenance and timely inspections, especially for aging buildings. It also highlighted the dangers of constructing buildings on unstable foundations, which can lead to catastrophic failures over time. In the aftermath, calls for more stringent regulations and regular inspections of older buildings gained momentum. The Champlain Towers South collapse ignited a national conversation about the importance of proactive building maintenance and better monitoring systems, ensuring that such a devastating event does not repeat itself. The Rana Plaza Disaster, a building's fatal flaws. The Rana Plaza disaster, which unfolded on April 24, 2013 in Bangladesh, remains one of the most devastating industrial accidents in modern history. The 8-story building, originally designed to serve as a commercial property, had been illegally converted to house 5 garment factories. These factories, producing clothing for high-profile Western brands, were never meant to operate in a structure not designed to handle the weight and machinery required for such large-scale production. To accommodate the factories, the building was unlawfully expanded with 4 additional floors, constructed without permits and without considering the vital structural changes needed. The building, once sturdy for office use, was now under enormous strain. Just one day before the disaster, workers noticed large cracks in the walls, signaling severe structural weaknesses. Despite these alarming warnings, the factory owners, under immense pressure to meet deadlines and fulfill orders, ignored the dangers and forced workers to return to their shifts. On that fateful morning, the building structure gave way, collapsing in on itself. The disaster claimed the lives of 1,134 people, with over 2,500 others left injured. The majority of those who perished were garment workers, many of whom were trapped inside when the building crumbled, unable to escape in time. Investigations revealed the true extent of the building's structural deficiencies. It had been built on unstable land, using substandard materials and altered without regard to safety. In the aftermath, the Bangladesh Accord on Fire and Building Safety was established in 2013, a legally binding agreement aimed at improving safety standards in garment factories across the country. This tragedy sparked crucial reforms, pushing for greater workplace safety measures and a commitment to ensuring that such a disaster would never happen again. The Rana Plaza disaster serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of cutting corners in construction and the vital importance of protecting workers' lives. Nanchang Airport collapse. Nanchang Airport, once hailed as a symbol of modern progress in Jiangxi Province, China, was meant to stand as a testament to the country's growing influence on the global stage. It was designed to be an essential transportation hub connecting Nanchang to the rest of the world. With its sleek terminals and cutting-edge facilities, the airport represented both ambition and the promise of efficiency. However, that vision took a devastating blow on August 4, 2019, When a major section of the newly constructed Terminal 2 collapsed unexpectedly, it shook the entire city. The collapse sent shockwaves far beyond the airport itself. Investigations revealed a critical flaw in the construction process: the use of subpar materials and substandard workmanship. These choices made in the rush to complete the project would have disastrous consequences. On top of these issues, the terminal was further weakened by sudden adverse weather conditions, which created the ideal conditions for the building's failure. Footage from surveillance cameras revealed the terrifying moment when enormous sections of the terminal caved in, sending debris crashing to the ground. Fortunately, the collapse occurred during a less busy time, which prevented fatalities. However, several individuals were injured, and the terminal sustained significant structural damage. This tragic event underscored a harsh reality. Cutting corners in construction, especially when it comes to material quality and workmanship, can lead to catastrophic results. The Nanchang Airport collapse highlighted the absolute necessity for strict quality control and thorough oversight in major infrastructure projects, especially those designed to serve high volumes of travelers. It stands as a stark reminder that safety and integrity should never be compromised. Tretten Bridge collapse. The collapse of the Tretten Bridge in Norway stands as a chilling reminder of how even the most carefully planned and constructed bridges can suddenly fail. Completed just 10 years earlier, this timber and steel bridge was designed to stand for a century. On an ordinary morning, as vehicles were crossing, disaster struck. Without warning, the bridge collapsed, sending parts of its structure plummeting into the river below. Incredibly, the drivers of a car and a truck managed to escape the wreckage without injury, defying the odds in an otherwise perilous situation. Designed by skilled architects and engineers, the Tretten Bridge was meant to be a perfect fusion of aesthetic beauty and structural integrity. However, its unexpected failure raised alarming questions about its durability. The collapse occurred despite the bridge being built by experienced professionals and designed with modern techniques. How could something so well-crafted fail so quickly? The tragedy revealed a critical flaw in the long-term assessment of such structures. Though the bridge was built with the finest materials and according to the latest engineering standards, its downfall highlighted the need for consistent and rigorous maintenance. Bridges are not static structures. Their materials and foundations must be regularly evaluated to ensure their safety. The collapse of the Tretten Bridge serves as a stark reminder that even the most robust designs can falter without careful, ongoing inspection. It emphasizes that no structure, no matter how carefully planned, is immune to failure without proper upkeep. As we've seen, even the most impressive structures can hide dangerous flaws beneath the surface. These construction failures serve as powerful reminders of the importance of attention to detail, quality control, and proper planning. The lessons learned from these mistakes continue to shape the future of engineering and construction. So, the next time you walk into a building, remember the hidden stories that could be lurking behind the walls. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking revelations.